So to begin, you'll need to remove the fuel tank, disconnect the fuel line and the vacuum line, obviously turning the tap off to begin with. Then prop it up on something so you can drain the remaining fuel out of the tank. Once you've drained all the fuel out, remove the cap, flip it over and remove the tap, and then get the leftover fuel out. There you can see just a fraction of some of the rust that came out. That is a tiny amount compared to what came out when I flushed it through. It was covered in that stuff. And that's, so then flush it all out, fill it up, shake it around a bit. Did that about 3 times. More and more of that orange, that red stuff was coming out, the rusty flakes. When that stopped happening, I put in some laundry powder. You can also put in some gravel, small fine gravel. I put in some washers, which helps sort of break up the surface rust that's in there, and the detergent breaks down the old fuel residue that's sort of sticking it all together. So once you've shaken that around a few times, you get more and more of the rust flakes coming out. Once that kind of stops and you're satisfied, probably 10 minutes of carrying on, then you start flushing it out with fresh water, clean out all the detergent, probably flush it out about 3 times. Dry it, shake as much as residual water out as you can. Then I got compressed air and just sort of blew it through to dry it out as much as I could. I didn't get it bone dry at this stage, but I just dried it out with the compressed air to speed the process up a bit. Anyway, so once it's dried out, then I got the Metal Prep PR15 brand, and I poured in probably about 50 mils, 100 mils probably about 150 mils, and shook that around, coating it all evenly from the top to the bottom. And I'd leave it for 10 minutes, then I'd come back, shake it around again. I'd do that over about half an hour. And then once you've done that, you can tip the leftovers out and then dry it out with the compressed air again. And then when you're satisfied that that's completely dry, this time you are waiting for it to be completely dry in there. I think in the end I put a hairdryer on it. And once you're satisfied that it's completely dry, then you can reassemble it and put your fuel in it. So that's how simple it is, but it does take about an hour or even more because the cleaning just... And that's the cheap way to do it. Prep wash stuff is a mild acid that leaves a phosphorus coating, so that protects the metal from further rust. And that's the way I choose to do it because the factory doesn't put any protective, clear coats or anything inside your tank, which is what a lot of those other products do. And if you get it wrong, then you've kind of ruined your tank, and it's very hard to strip it out without damaging your paint. So in my mind, I just clean the old rust out, treat it with that anti-rust stuff, and then the fuel is a bit of a corrosion inhibitor anyway, and that's the way I do it. I also put an inline filter in my fuel line so that any rust that does reappear or is still in the system isn't going to wind up back in the carburettors, which caused the problem that made me do this in the first place. Obviously, if you have pinholes in the tank, then it's a different story. You will need to seal it up with one of those tank sealers, but this one doesn't have that. So this is the option I took, and I'm very happy with the results. And that's it. Over and out.